Say hello to my little friend.
Hello my little friends, it's almost Christmas and we've got the Christmas tree, we've got Bam Bam and Herman out on deck joining us just for this one episode. Maybe they'll join us again later, I don't know if they're good. We're going to do a song called In the Army Now, and it's a song by a pair of brothers called Bolland and Bolland. It was covered by Status Quo, who actually made the song even more famous internationally, so they deserve credit for that. But it was written by Bolland and Bolland. I'm going to have a stab at the date, 1982. And we're playing this song in the original key of D minor, the correct key for the song. There will be a key change halfway through the song. So in fact, half the song's in D minor and half of it's in E minor. So that's going to be quite interesting for you to learn. D minor, the first chord, is going to be the ordinary D minor that you might have already learned. We don't need to make it into a clever ninth or anything like we did for Mad World, because we're not going to be picking the strings, we're going to be strumming them this time. And so before I teach you the chords, we need to talk about how we're going to strum this song, because it's in 2/4 and it's a kind of ska kind of beat, S-K-A, ska. 2/4 is quite unusual in songs actually. Most pop songs are written in 4/4. When you have 2/4, especially if it's with ska or with reggae, then the stress is on the offbeat. So if I were to stamp my foot, okay, that's the offbeat. 2, it's the 2 of the 1, 2. So that's the sort of style of how I strum this. I do a little bit more with the strumming. You can do what you like with the strumming, but I'll certainly show you what I do with the strumming, and you can copy what I do if you like. Stressing the offbeat. We call this in music syncopation. Syncopation, that's where we stress the offbeat. So if we're in 2/4, it's the second beat, and if we're in 4/4, it would be the second and the fourth beat. Obviously, because we're using this balanced D minor, we've got the same string at the top and bottom, so whether we're strumming up or down, it will sound similar. And that's one good reason for having actually the same string, the same note I should say, at the top and bottom of the strum. So the strumming style that I seem to have come up with for this song is a very, very percussive idea. A vacation in a foreign land. See? So I'm kind of using the instrument as a drum, and I just throw all my fingers across the strings at that point. Now it depends on your instrument. This instrument works really well as a percussive instrument, that's why I bought it. This is a snail, by the way, in case you're wondering. Not all instruments are going to give you such good percussion, but I use that percussion because it's an army song, it's a marching song, it's a kind of, you know, it's got that quality to it that I want to bring out of armies and marching. So that's the strumming pattern, kind of. Work with it, do what you like with it, and if you do something better than me, do show me. Please do show me in your own videos what you've done with it, because I'd be very interested to see what you can do with it on the uke. I'm also very conscious that Bam Bam is not in the shot there. I'm covering him up a lot of the time. Are you okay there, Bam Bam? He's got his back to me. I don't think he's happy. He's got the biggest bauble anyway. Don't tell him. Or don't tell Herman he's got the biggest bauble anyway. Right, so we've sorted out the strumming pattern. We're going to be with the D chord. I've explained why the strings want to be the same at the top and bottom. In fact, we're singing the D note, which is another reason that it's okay to accentuate that note, because we're not singing it. A vacation in a foreign land. Lifting off there, just lifting off the whole lot. That's how I do it. I just lift the whole lot off. You could just lift off on the E string if you wanted to, but I prefer to lift off on all the strings. It just creates a bit more of a dramatic shift. You know, this guy's going to war. We want to have some dramatic shifts. We want the whole ground to shift beneath us, and that's what happens when you do that. That's my theory behind it. So we've got the D chord to start with. A vacation in a foreign land. And then we're going to go to a G minor chord. And then it goes straight back to the D minor chord. So for the first couple of stanzas, it's just D minor and G minor. It's the only time it happens. A vacation in a foreign land. Uncle Sam does the best he can. You're in the army now. Oh, you're in the army now. Aha. Except that we do just let our finger off there, just for the end of the line there on the word now. Okay, so we just let that finger off. What are we creating when we do that? We're creating a D minor, and then this string now becomes an E. It becomes an open string, and we know that's the E string, don't we? So that's created a ninth, a minor ninth. And then back to, you remember what the draft man said, nothing to do all day but stay in bed. You're in the army now. Whoa, you're in the army now. Okay, so that's those first two stanzas or verses, whatever you want to call them. I think we can then repeat if we feel like it. You're in the army now. Whoa, you're in the army now. So you can sing that twice at the end there if you like. And then we go into the second verse. In the second verse everything changes a bit. We're still with the D chord here, the D minor chord. Still with our nice strumming pattern and our nice marching boots there. You can hear them marching. And verse 2, going to be like this. You'll be the hero of the neighborhood. Nobody knows that you've left for good. You're in the army now. And at this point where we go, whoa, whoa, at that point, just let it go. Because it's an A minor 7th. It's an A minor 7th. Whoa, whoa, you're in the... And then we're back to D minor again. Army, now, let go. Smiling faces as you leave for now. If you want. Don't have to do that every time, but you can. It's nice to do. Smiling faces as you leave for now. But when you get there, no one gives a damn. You're in the army now. Whoa, whoa, you're in the army. So, D minor, G minor for the first verse, D minor, G minor, A minor 7th for the second. We never go back to a 2-chord verse. They're all 3 after that, they're all the same. But we've got the key change. Hand grenades flying over your head. And now we're going to change to E minor. So the way I do that is I find my E minor. In E minor is like this. We learned it for Where Do You Go To My Lovely. We learned E minor. And I just come down to it. I like to make it, because now we're going to have hand grenades flying over your head, then we're going to have missiles flying over your head. So I come down like this. Missiles flying over your head. Come to here, because if you remember, there's actually an E minor in this little block. Do you remember we had our tick-shaped E minor there? So it's not too far different to go into this shape here. It's actually a different minor chord. Don't worry about which one it is yet. That'll only confuse you. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that we're in the same area as where there was an E minor before. And so it'll work. It will work. Just come down to the E minor there. So we've been in D minor. Hand grenades flying over your head. Missiles flying over your head. So you see, go to those 3 and you see it sounds good. It's not an E minor. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can work it out for yourself if you want. All that matters is it works. We're not going to worry about it for now, because you've got enough in your head. You've got D minor, G minor, A minor 7. So now we're going to do the equivalent up 1 key, which is a whole note. So from D we go D sharp, E. We go a whole note to go a whole key up, and now we're in E minor. Missiles flying over your head. If you want to stay alive, get out of bed. So we went to G minor before, so now we're going to go to A minor. Well, why not just use the A minor 7th that we were using before? It actually works. It actually works. Because it existed in the song previously, it works really well. So don't bother to make an A minor. Make an A minor 7th. It actually leads in really well with the chords. The next chord will be what would have been the A minor 7th, which will be B minor 7th. Well, we're just going to do B minor. So we're doing a bit of role reversal here. So for these chords again, we're going to go through from the top. E minor. And don't forget, we can't do that here. We have to do it with a little mini bar here. A minor 7th, B minor, E minor. And that's where we use our little bar again to create exactly what we did here. We do it here. So when you make your E minor chord, make it using that little bar of that finger there so that it's ready, and all you have to do is lift that one off. Missiles flying over your head. If you want to stay alive, get out of bed. You're in the army now. Whoa, whoa, you're in the army now. Okay? That's it. That's pretty much it. And I forgot to teach you the intro, didn't I? So the intro, which is pretty much separate, but it comes up in between certain verses, depending how you play it, which version you play. I'm not going to be exact about that and prescriptive, because you can go back into the status quo version or the Bolland and Bolland. I'm singing Bolland and Bolland lyrics out of respect for the original writers of the song, but you can sing the status quo version, you can sing the pro-war version that they wrote so they could sing it in front of the soldiers, whichever version you want to sing. And so for that reason, I've not really shown you the structure of the song too exactly, because they're all actually a bit different. But the intro is basically a D minor chord going to the A minor 7th. That's to say the third chord of the sequence, skipping out the G minor in the middle. And that is your intro chord. It just sits there, it just hangs. And then when we do the key change, that intro or sandwich section or whatever we want to call it will be E minor going to B minor. But I've taught you the intro, I've taught you the verses, I've taught you the key change, I've taught you a hell of a lot today. You've learned quite a lot. If you want to learn a little bit more, stick around with me. I'm going to teach you a little bit more now in a little bit more depth so you can understand what we did. When we changed from D minor to E minor, although that D minor chord looks very different from the E minor chord, it's actually the same exact configuration. When I say configuration, I mean like our V's, or our ticks, or our bars. All these different configurations, we've got different configurations, ways of making a chord. Well, when we made this D chord, we did it like this. Now let's just take that up. So we're going to hold those two down, and we're going to hold that one down, and we're going to come up. So that means we're going to have to add that one now. Now we're going to come up one more, so that's now a whole note. There's E minor. And all we did really was we let go of that string there, because that is the G string, and the G string is part of E minor, so we don't need to hold it down. If you want to play any other minor chord using that configuration, we can. But if they've got a G in them, then we can simply let go of that string. Okay? So that is actually a G minor there. It's not a G minor that I tend to use, but there is one there in between those two 5th and 7th frets. You've got a G minor. Why don't I tend to use it? Well, the reason I don't tend to use it, and this will help you if you want to play some fancy stuff with this song, is because I tend to use the G minor up here. And this is a different way of making a minor chord that I want to teach you today. We learned bar chords last time. We learned bar chords where we have a gap of 2, we have a bar, a gap of 2, and then we have that string held down there. Well, if we take this note here and we cover up all 3 strings, we get a minor chord of the same exact chord. So C major becomes C minor, D major becomes D minor. Now this string here, the G string, sometimes it's good to have it in there and sometimes it isn't. We don't want it really with D minor, but it's actually quite easy and you will learn. And what I quite often do is I just let my right hand just occasionally touch that G string to stop it from resonating. Just when I'm doing those cheeky minors where I'm only using 3 strings. But what we want to do for this one, just to add something fancy, is we want to get our G. Here's our G major. Do you remember our G major here, where we had these beautifully spaced 2 dots here, which we used, if you learned the intro for Where Do You Go To My Lovely, we used the chord in that. If you make the G minor there, it actually makes one of the best chords on the entire instrument. Because you've got a G there, we've got a B, we've got a D, and we've got a G above. A perfect arpeggio. Arpeggio. So what I like to do from time to time in that song, when the mood takes me, and in other songs, so it's not just for this song, but when we're in the first verse, a vacation in a foreign land, Uncle Sam does the best he can, you're in the army now. Whoa, whoa, you're in the army now. So just there's the occasions where you can do that. Maybe not on that verse, but there's a lovely chance to be able to do that with that G minor. I might have a blast at the song and actually try and sing it high. Hopefully no one's going to come past and hear us because, well, Herman and Bam Bam might have to cover their ears for this. So that gives us the opportunity to be able to end on that E minor chord by just See, isn't that beautiful? Slide up to it, because we're using all them 3 strings together, we can slide with those. That's why I love those minor chords. They're slidable. So with that, I'm going to be sliding away now until the new year. I hope you have a happy new year. And from me, Herman and Bam Bam, aloha.